It's time for more Tinker and Friends. Far away in a hidden valley lies a magical place called Tinkerland. In Tinkerland, all the robots spend their days doing what they love most. They learn and they grow. And most of all, they have fun. And all is good in Tinkerland. It was another beautiful day in Tinkerland. Dell the delivery bot was driving past the barn and looking at all of the beautiful plants. Tinker the inventor was in the back, watering all of the flowers in the big gray pots. He loved to watch the water trickle over all of the blooms. And sometimes he liked to get really close to the flowers, and he would pick one of the little blooms to keep the rest of the day. Pick the flower bot was in the orchard, looking at all the beautiful fruit trees. The orchard had all sorts of fruit trees. There were red apple trees, there were yellow apple trees, and there were even orange trees. Pick the flower bot liked to pick the apples. He would take his hand and slowly reach up for the apple and pick it off of the tree. He loved to look at the colors and then place the apple in the apple barrels. One by one, Pick would pick the apple, look at it closely, and then place it in the apple barrel. One of his favorite types of apples was the red apple. They were very crunchy and very sweet. They almost tasted like candy. Before he knew it, he had filled an entire barrel full of fruit. He loved to look at all the different colors. There was red and yellow, but there was still so many more apples to pick. So one by one, he continued to pick the fruit off of all of the trees. Until finally, there were no more apples left. Hooray, shouted Pick, for he thought he had picked every last one. But little did Pick know that there was still one more tree left. And this tree was a very, very big tree. And on this tree, the apples were very, very high. Oh dear, thought Pick, how am I ever gonna reach those apples? Just then, another helper bot was strolling past the orchard. It was Bill the Builder Bot. Bill was a second-generation builder bot here in Tinkerland. He was the colored yellow, and he liked to carry around his toolbox full of tools. Bill loved his helperbot friends. "Hi, Pick," said Bill. "Well, hello, Bill," said Pick. "My, may I ask what you're doing?" said Bill. "Oh, yes, you may," said Pick. "I'm just picking apples today in the orchard, but the apples I need are way up high, and it's much too high for me to reach. That makes me feel frustrated." "Oh my," said Bill. "That's okay to feel frustrated, but you know, I think I can help. I have just the tool we need." Then Bill put down his toolbox and took out a step stool. He placed the step stool on the ground and held it for Pick. "Here you go," said Bill. "Now you can reach the apples." "Oh my," said Pick. "Thank you so much." And so Pick stepped up onto the step stool, 1 foot at a time. He reached up into the tree, and he reached, and he reached. But it was no use, for the apples were much too high. "Good try," said Bill. "Let's try again." So Bill took out another ladder. He opened it up and set it up. "This one is much bigger," thought Bill. "Let's try this one." And so Pick stepped up onto the ladder, 1 foot at a time. He reached up into the tree, and he reached, and he reached, and he reached. "You can do it, you can do it," said Bill. Pick reached with all his might for the apples. But it was no use, for the apples were much too high, and Pick could not reach them. "It's not a tall enough ladder," shouted down Pick. "That's okay," said Bill. "Good try. Let's try again." Bill assembled another ladder. He set it up on the tree, and this ladder was much bigger. "This should work for you," said Bill. "Let's give it a try." "Oh yes," said Pick. "I think this one's the one." So Bill held the ladder for Pick, and Pick climbed up on the ladder, 1 foot at a time. He made his way up into the tree, and he reached for the apples. "You can do it, you can do it," said Bill. Pick reached up tall, and he reached, and he reached, and he reached. And finally, he got the apple. I got it," shouted Pick. You got it," said Bill. Pick picked the fresh apple off of the tree, and he looked closely at it. It was a bright red apple. He placed the apple in the basket, and he went on picking more. He slowly reached for the apples and picked them out of the tree, one by one, placing them in the basket. Pick loved to pick the apples, and before he knew it, he filled up his entire basket full of apples. Then Pick lowered the basket down with some rope. "Look out below!" called out Pick. "I got it," said Bill, as he grabbed the basket full of apples. The two of them cheered. Bill smiled, and so did Pick. They were both so proud of what they accomplished. Pick made his way down the ladder, 1 foot at a time. Bill was so proud of Pick. You did it, said Bill. No, said Pick. We did it together. I couldn't have done it without you. Bill smiled and was so happy. He was so grateful to have a friend like Pick. Later that day, Tinker and some of the helperbots practiced resting on the big open lawn. And as night fell over Tinkerland, the helperbots went in the barn to recharge, and Tinker went in the backyard to do his favorite thing of all. He turned on the garden lights. Tinker loved his garden lights. They made him feel so warm. And every night, he made his way to his little bench, and he sat down and looked at everything. He looked at the lights. He looked at the flowers. He looked at the lamppost. And he looked at the great big tree covered in lights. And he was happy, and he was content, and all was good at the end of the day. It's time to go now, but you can come back anytime. Bye-bye.